Hi, this is Scott from Specter here, and today I'm going to be discussing two of our more popular one-point slings. Okay, today we're going to be talking about two of our most popular one-point sling designs, the Mouseling and the Viper sling. Before I get into the individual slings themselves, let's talk about the attachment mechanisms. The same attachment method is used for both slings. You can select from either an ITW mash hook if you have a ring type mount, or one of our soft mounts if you have a loop type mount. The ITW mash hook will also work with loops as well. Of the two, it's going to be up to your personal preference as to which one you choose. I happen to like, for myself, the soft mount, a little bit quieter. One nice feature of this attachment mechanism is that you can have the sling attached to your body. Let's say you're at the range, you want to set the weapon down. You don't even have to unsling. You can just break loose from the weapon. That's attached to the weapon, but the sling stays on your body. When you're ready to go back out on the line, just simply plug back in, and you're good to go. You can also buy these separately so that you could have the sling and maybe 3 or 4 of these for different types of weapons, so you only have to have one sling and then have 2 or 3 attachment methods to be able to use the same sling on multiple weapons. Okay, first up, let's talk about the Viper sling. First thing to mention would be the webbing for the sling. The webbing is 1.5 inches wide. We went with this over 1.25 inches because that extra 1/4 inch, while it doesn't seem like a lot, does help distribute the weight a lot better. If you're running a heavier weapon, for instance, it's going to ride a lot nicer across the shoulder than an 1.25 inch sling would do. Next up, we'll talk about the emergency release buckle. In the event you need to get out of this sling, rather than just get the gun off of the sling, all you need to do is just hit this emergency release buckle and the sling is gone. Now, next up, the shock cord, which is housed within these tubular webbing housings. We have 2 1/4 inch shock cords for a 1/2 inch overall, and as the name implies, it absorbs shock. As you're moving with the weapon, it's bouncing. It's going to take a little bit of that stress off of your shoulders. Plus, because it expands, if you need to get into any oddball shooting positions or move the weapon around, you're not going to be fighting against the sling as you would with a sling without shock cords. Now, as with all of our slings, all stress points are bar tacked. We've got heavy duty bar tacking at every single point rather than double or triple stitchings. Bar tacking. The only exception to that being we have 2 rows of quad stitching at the shock cord because the bar tack just chews up the shock cord and renders it useless. So there is quad stitching there, but we did go with 2 rows of it. Okay, next up let's talk about the Mouseling. Okay, next up we're going to talk about the Mouseling. This will go fairly quickly because it is a fairly simple design. However, in many cases, simplicity can be a very good thing. The sling webbing itself is 1.25 inches wide, and as with the other slings, all stress points are bar tacked. Features the same attachment mechanism as the Viper sling, but that's really about it. If you really don't need all of the features of the Viper sling, and you're looking for a simple sling, and you're running, for instance, a fairly light weapon such as an MP5 or an M4 that doesn't have a lot of gear hanging off of it, this may be the sling for you. Okay, that's the end of the tabletop demo. Now let's get behind the table and put these slings on and go ahead and show you how they actually work. Let's start with the Mouseling. Getting into this or any other one-point sling, very easy matter. Just insert your non-shooting arm and head through the body loop, allowing the sling to ride across your strong side shoulder. From there, you let the weapon hang. In the event you had to do a transition, drops off slightly off to your center line, clearing a path to your secondary weapon. If you're unfamiliar with this type of sling or the concept of this type of sling, its primary advantage is its ability to easily and efficiently execute cross-shoulder or bilateral shoulder transitions, which means from the strong side shoulder to the off side shoulder, back again and back again, nearly as efficiently as if you weren't wearing a sling at all. Yet again, in the event that you needed to transition to a secondary, it's an easy matter to drop the weapon off to the off side and transition to your secondary. Now let's move on to the Viper sling. Now onto the Viper sling. Getting into the Viper sling is just as easy as the Mouseling. One additional thing I'd add though is make sure that the emergency release buckle is available to your offhand side in the event you need to get out of this sling in a hurry. Once the sling is on, as with the Mouseling, you can let the weapon hang. Easy, clear path to your secondary in the event you need to transition. The other benefit, of course, from the Mouseling that carries over to the Viper sling is that ability to do the cross shoulder or bilateral transitions as easy as if you weren't wearing a sling at all. Love the extra width on the webbing. Love the shock cord. Shock cord really comes into play in the event that you get into any weird situations where you're shooting from a really strange position. The sling's not going to fight against you. If need be, you got a lot of stretch there. Both of these slings, as well as all of our other slings, of course, are available for sale at spectergear.com, as well as from any of our authorized Specter Gear dealers. Thank you very much.